Hello, it is a new year, and that means new books to look forward to. I always get really excited at this time of year thinking about what new publications might be coming out. So I've spent a while looking through publishers' websites and their catalogs for the new books that I am most interested in reading. There are some favorite authors that are bringing out new books, and so I've picked out 12, which I'm going to discuss in this video. And I would love to hear if you're also looking forward to these books when they come out, or if there are other new publications that I don't discuss that you're really looking forward to. I'm sure I've missed a lot, so please tip me off about what I should be keeping my eye on. The first 6 books that I'm going to discuss are all due to be published in February here in the UK. It might be different elsewhere, but there is a new novel by Adam Haslett called Mothers and Sons, and this story follows a man who's in his 40s. He's living in New York City, and he's working at a tough but very rewarding job as an immigration lawyer, but he's also slightly adrift in his life and hasn't really settled down. And he's been estranged from his mother for a very long time, ever since a big traumatic secret incident from their past. And his mother is also equally working at a very rewarding job, but is missing her son. But reconciliation is much more difficult than just picking up the phone and seeing each other again. And we all know how difficult family relationships can be. So I think this sounds like a very tender and moving story. And Adam Haslett, I think I've read everything that he's published. I loved his novel Imagine Me Gone, and Union Atlantic, and his book of short stories You Are Not a Stranger Here. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to this new one. There's also a new novel from the latest winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature, South Korean author Kang, called We Do Not Part. And this actually has 2 translators of Yi Ye-won and Paige Amya Morris. And this is a story of a woman who gets a phone call from a friend of hers who's been hospitalized. And this friend is concerned because she has a bird which has been left at home and needs to be fed. And so she travels to her friend's home and feeds her bird and spends time in her house, but then starts examining her friend's past and learning about the secrets of her friend's past and her friend's family's past, and larger occurrences in this area, and a massacre which occurred. So Han Kane always writes about psychological complexity really in a really interesting way, but also large-scale conflict and injustices. And with everything that's going on in South Korea at the moment, I think this will be a very timely read. The great Irish author Eimear McBride has a new novel coming out called The City Changes Its Face, and this is a tale about a man and a woman who have a 20-year age difference between them, but in the mid-90s they have a very intense and passionate love affair which lasts for a time, but then as the years go by, they're moving on with their lives, but they're also reflecting upon this very intense relationship that they had with each other. So it explores issues to do with intimacy and jealousy and family, and Eimear McBride just writes in such a compelling way. I mean, I've kind of feel like I've read a number of stories like this before, but her style of writing is so unique that I think she'll give a really interesting spin on it. And also I loved her novel The Lesser Bohemians and A Girl is a Half-Formed Thing. I wasn't so keen on her previous novel Strange Hotel, so I'm just really curious what to make of this new book. Old Soul by Susan Barker. This is a novel about a very mysterious woman who changes her name many many times and where she lives, but she never ages and she never dies, but the people around her do. And two individuals discover that they have both lost people very close to them and who were associated with this mysterious woman. So it's about them trying to figure out and understand the mystery surrounding her. So it sounds somewhat like a horror story, but the way that Susan Barker writes, she writes so compellingly about identity and sort of the fluidness of identity and time and history. So I think this will be a really compelling story because I absolutely loved her previous novel, The Incarnations. I think this was such an imaginative and really meaningful book. So I'm very much looking forward to her new novel. Even Beyond Death by Fiona Melrose. This is a historical novel set in the 1600s following a marquis, a nobleman, who is a very eligible bachelor. He's only 24 years old, but he needs a wife and an heir, but he also needs a new valet. And when a man comes to work for him, he finds that he has a secret passion for him. So it's about this struggle, and the way that Fiona Melrose writes is so emotional and powerful. I absolutely loved her novel Midwinter. So this novel sounds so enticing. Beartooth by Callan, which has this really striking cover. And this is a novel about two adult brothers who are living on the fringes of Yellowstone National Park, and they run a sawmill, but they're barely getting by financially. Their father has died and they're struggling to pay the bills since his death, and they get a business opportunity which involves hunting within Yellowstone National Park, which of course is very illegal. So it follows the drama of this story and the moral conflict of it. Next in March is surely one of the publishing events of the year because Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie finally has a new novel out. It's been over a decade since her previous one, although she's published some nonfiction and children's books since then, but I love her writing so much. And this new novel is called Dream Count. It's about 4 different women between America and Nigeria who are connected with each other, but they all have very different sort of social standings and financial levels, and it explores love and longing and desire, and I cannot wait. March is really going to be a very exciting month because Torrey also has a new book of fiction out called Stag Dance, which I think is 4 separate long stories or novellas that are exploring transness between the past, present, and future. And she writes how she not only wants to explore the difference between male and female, but the difference between cis and trans, and where those lines are blurred, and to really question this and open it up. And I thought her previous novel, Detransition Baby, was absolutely extraordinary. She writes in such a funny and perceptive way that I can't wait to read this. Universality by Natasha Brown. This short novel begins on a Yorkshire farm where a man is bludgeoned to death with a bar of gold, and the mystery behind that, which an ambitious young journalist investigates and solves and writes a long article about. But this also raises a lot more questions about truth and power. So it's investigating language itself as well as this larger mystery. And Natasha Brown is such an exciting new writer. Her debut novel, Assembly, I thought was so powerful. It was also quite a slender book, but incredibly poignant and so intelligent in how it explored contemporary issues. In May, there's a new novel by Sarah Moss called Ripeness, and this story explores sibling relationships throughout time, how they change and evolve, and the various tensions between them, but also how we as individuals move and and relocate and recreate ourselves over time. And Sarah Moss is such a great writer. I think her short novel Ghost Wall is as like perfect as a novel can get, and any new book by her is a really exciting event. Looking forward to the summer. In July, Leila Mottley has a new novel out called The Girls Who Grew Big, which follows a very young woman who has become pregnant, which her parents disapprove of. So they send her away to Florida with the intention of carrying out this pregnancy and giving the baby away. But she discovers there instead another group of young pregnant women and how they form a community together and find strength in one another, but also the tensions between them. And Mottley's debut novel, Night Crawling, I thought was so powerful and poetically written that I'm so eager to read a new book by her. Looking even further into the future, in September, Kiran Desai has a new novel out called The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny, and this story follows two Indians in America as they are grappling with tradition and family, but also trying to realize their own desires. This is being called a love story, a family saga, and a novel of ideas, and it has been almost 2 decades since Kiran Desai won the Booker Prize for her novel, The Inheritance of Loss. So this is very exciting. So those are some of the new books that I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure there will be many, many more new publications that I'll be eager to read in 2025. I'd love to hear if you are also eager to read any of these books, or if there are any other books that I should be on the lookout for. But I hope you're doing well and had a great new year, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.